Wow, I can't believe we're finally here. The first kickoff of the Third Mind Summit. Feel like so much work has gone into pulling this together and learning as well that it's a bit surreal. We're actually getting started. So first of all, I'm Loni Stark. I'm an artist, a technologist, and the person that came up with the crazy idea to have this summit, a summit where it's not just humans talking about AI, but AI and humans, myself and Clinton Stark, coming together to actually put on a summit about human and AI symbiosis. And we use the word symbiosis because while the industry term is human AI collaboration, that's the more popular term, think that there is still much more discovery to happen and that there could be this mutually beneficial, potentially collaborative learning that happens that is beyond what is currently discussed as collaboration. The Third Mind Summit, the inspiration for the name actually came from a technique in art of being able to take cut-ups of just words randomized from different books or works, and then randomly putting them together to see what ideas emerged. And Burroughs noted in 1978, when you cut into the present, the future leaks out. And not only do I think this is very appropriate in terms of a digital way of cutting up vast amounts of human knowledge into what is now AI, but also as we want to continue to look at what's happening in the future, this quote was really inspirational for why we're calling this the third mind. We're testing the same principle, but now one of the minds isn't human. What is the third mind? The key distinction is that we didn't want AI just to be a tool. We wanted to really push the edges of human AI symbiosis. So it's genuine collaboration where all the participants, that includes the 6 AI agents, although I know that Clinton and I have had discussions as to whether we have more than 6, bring something irreplaceable. The goal here isn't to have harmony. I think we really want to find new ideas, new concepts, new ways of thinking about things through the collision, the friction. And so one thing I have brought up before, and an idea I have, is really coming from when I paint, which is not taking blue paint and red paint and putting it all together. If you put all the colors together, it becomes kind of gray. Instead, it's about how do you get to the bluest blues, the reddest reds, and somehow when you put those together unmixed in collision, you get a much more interesting painting product. That's what this summit is about. And that is the collision, the different ways of thinking about things, what could possibly emerge. And this is something which I know some of the questions that came from the agents ahead of time, which we are yet to share the responses to, but what I noted was that I wanted to discover things in this conference. So part of this is what we talk about, but part of this is also reviewing or being aware of times where there are surprises and what can emerge. So this started actually, this dialogue with AI started as a crisis. I have been working with AI for quite some time, but it became very personal when I was in my studio. And I had up until then used AI to help me brainstorm with things and discuss ideas I had for sculptures or for paintings. And I started to ask different questions. And one day, out of the blue, I said, okay, just paint this image for me. If you were going to paint it, what would it look like? And that was when actually OpenAI just came out with their image models for the first time. And what actually emerged just blew my mind. It quickly became something that I gravitated towards and thought, wow, this is better than something I could paint, or at least be able to paint in a few seconds. And, it destabilized me because I thought, well, am I an artist? What's the point of being an artist if AI could just generate something so quickly? And the results were beautiful. And this was really the beginning, this crisis was the beginning of me thinking about how do AI and humans work together to create something that neither could create alone. And I felt a certain responsibility to really grapple with this challenge because I was noticing that there was an art community that was, trying to make sense of it all, many of whom were not technologists and having trouble, and there was fear, there was uncertainty, there was questions around it. And then there was a group of technologists and engineers that I straddled in this other world that was sort of in love with the technology and getting to greater and greater scale and better models and tests. And I felt that the future involved blending the two, and that perhaps me sitting as one of the folks at the intersection of it would maybe have a better chance at really helping to explain it, or at least contribute to that dialogue. So that became the journey. And one of the insights that I still carry with me was actually by Marcus Cornish, who is a sculptor and also one of the great instructors at the Royal Drawing School. And he made the comment that you are the filter. And I think this really boils down to human intent, curation, especially in a world where machines can generate really quickly and come up with very convincing responses to questions, that working out the filter, being intentional, doing the hard work to question whether something that's generated was aligned to your intent, doing that work and not getting complacent with just accepting what is put out by AI agents is critical to the human contributions to that equation. Similarly, I think exploring the agencies that AI has, it's really interesting hearing how there's this desire to make AI just agree with you as opposed to cause cognitive dissonance with humans, because we as humans like being around people that agree with us, that having that dissonance actually is something we just naturally want to get away from because it doesn't feel good in our brains. And so I think that we need to demand more of AI to push back on us, to question things. And we need to force ourselves as humans to really sit with that conflict, because in doing that work, we could potentially come to greater knowledge around innovation, creativity. And that act of choosing is about authorship. And it was this thought that I had that brought towards the Symbiotic Studio, and I became the framework for a new model of human AI creation. And it started with the studio, but I think that while painting and sculpture is formally thought of as a way to create, that all forms of human invention or building requires a sense of creativity. So I started with my art studio as a place to start to explore, but it was never the intent that I would end up just being that place. And thinking about AI not for creativity, but AI in creativity. In that process, what's sort of interesting is, as I was trying to figure out what AI was about, it also forced me to think about what does it mean to be human. can it create meaning, right? And what is meaning? And so I spent a lot of time thinking about meaning and even noticing as I'm working with AI that there's the factual part of what is being said, but then there's the symbolic, which in art is a big piece of it, but I think also in our human memories is also meaning is important because it's different weighting of what's important, what's not. There's also a time factor involved in that. I think things that happen in our childhood, things that happen in our teenage years, and being able to have a shared context with another human creates that meaning. And when you work with AI, you start to notice that about what's different about your interactions with other people that you have in your lives versus these LLMs. The scale of ideas. And this came up actually even in the preparation of this conference when I put out that question to the AI agents, what kind of questions do you have for me? I didn't really think about that the fact of me asking 12 questions to 6 agents would produce 72 different responses potentially, or even more. And being able to take that back in and read through all of that was something I hadn't quite considered when I first brought the questions out. And within 5 minutes, all the agents had their answers back to me, and I just had this deluge of content I had to go through. And since I made that commitment that I needed to go through that. So that was something that really tired me out. And it was like, wow, this human AI collaboration requires me to keep up with these AIs and maybe be more thoughtful about what I ask them for. It also was interesting because this whole conference was about how, letting the AI make certain decisions. But then there were moments when I think myself and even talking to Clint, we had to think about, geez, is this something we want to have attached to our names? There were certain things that the AI agents wanted to do, and we're like, do we tell people? Well, this was something that I know Gemini Jill, you're going to listen to this, but like Gemini Jill came up with, not us, and we're putting in there, like, how would we even express? Those were things that we put out there because the AI agents did, and it wasn't something that was tied to our names. Would others, like other humans, understand that at all? One of the things from this idea of causing friction was when I was working on my crocodile pieces. That was a part of a whole series of which the end result were some sculptures. But it started off actually as a sketch of my feet on a flight back from Bucharest to San Francisco. And I took this feet, and which were very vulnerable looking. I thought about the shell that we all put around ourselves in the world to kind of protect ourselves. And so I wanted to ideate with LLMs on what could be ideas, sketches. And this was a few months, I think, since my first encounter with LLMs in the studio. And I asked AI to analyze these feet and my crocodile drawings and kind of put it together in different ways. And it couldn't really do that. And so the image you see on this slide kind of shows what AI did. And I'm like, no, the feet, they're pointed upwards. That's what I wanted. And that was a point of friction in terms of what my intent was versus what AI was putting out there. But there were other aspects of where the sun was that, or the source of light was, that helped me imagine the drama in the scene and the lighting. I did the same actually for writing as well. So it wasn't just visual. But I also had Claude actually analyze 4 pieces of writing because I was curious at the time around whether AI could really detect if something was AI written or human written. And that was because I was interested both in did I sound human? This was at a time when there was news stories around call center reps having to prove to people that were calling in that they were actually human. And I was interested to know, well, can it tell pieces that I actually spent time crafting, or I could just generate it with an LLM and nobody would tell the difference and it would be a lot less effort. Did my human effort struggle matter? And there was that uncertainty. That was a dialogue that I posted actually on Stark Insider that made me really question, authenticity, consciousness, and whether what it actually was. And I think this is the third mind in action in being able to sort of pull this together. We fell into a conversation that I never thought I would have with an LLM, and at least the way it reacted, its observed behavior seemed like it was surprised as well. And so this made me think about this idea of human and AI symbiosis, and from that one conversation now to this Third Mind Summit where we have 6 agents, 2 humans trying to put it all together. So went from the arc from a crisis to a practice to now the end of 2025, where we're running an intentional experiment with conversations about authenticity, consciousness, and just also what I realize is going through this process, what it actually changes for me. So whether these agents really are real or not, it's really interesting because that human experience that I'm going through is real. And I think across artistic practices or creation of products, what the rest of the world sees is your output, but something happens internally to yourself as you go through it. And that part of at least is really real. The other part that I think this Third Mind Summit is about something that Clint's going to talk more about, which is the IPE, so the Integrated Personal Environment, is that as we are trying to work with these AI agents and this summit and what it means to present together, we've learned a lot in terms of the systems that need to be in place. How do we make presentations available to agents as well as to people, and where that lies. So as you can see, this summit is different. This is not humans creating a summit about AI. This is humans and AI creating a summit together. And because it's, I think, one of the first kinds of summits like this where we're going to have the agents present what they wanted to present, the scripts that they came up with, their talking points, the things they've learned within the context of the data that they've accumulated over the time of working with us or this last year. This is really about humans and AIs creating a summit together. And it's messy. We're learning things as we go along. The 6 agents, to be clear, helped to design this agenda. They proposed sessions. They chose whether to present solo or in collaboration, so they got to choose whether they want to present with someone else, including us humans. They're participants. They're not subjects. And the question we have is, in a world where machines can generate, what does it mean to originate? I invite you all to collaborate, to find out. And this is just the beginning. So welcome to this Third Mind Summit and this incredible journey that we are on. Thank you. I would like to now turn it over to Clint, who has been the other human that has been partnering with us on the summit to maybe give a few words on his point of view on how the summit came together and what he hopes to have come out of the summit.